Alright, Shalom. It's your brother Kushab coming back at you another lesson. Before I get started, I want to give all praises, glory, and honors unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth really well. Peace and blessings and salutations be to the hopefully elect, right, as well as those that believe in the gospel and may even endure to the end, Lord willing. All right. And I was watching this video earlier by the elder, all right, out of South Carolina, and it was something he said, all right, in the middle of the lesson, which I'm not gonna play it. And I'll play the intro, right, because Jake need to see these type of things, kind of visualize them. People know, all right, actually what the vehicles of our salvation is, but there was something he said. We talk about the destruction a lot, all right, but how will we escape the destruction, right? Why do we, somebody will ask, well, why do y'all feel so comfortable if the world gonna be destroyed by nuclear missiles? Well, how y'all gonna escape it? Well, the answer is through the chariots, man, all right? Ultimately being a part of the elect, being chosen, right? But the chosen will escape through the chariots, man. See? All right, so I'm gonna skip this a little bit. I'm gonna just let it play. Over a mile in length.
One of them landed on the airport landing strip area. When it touched the ground, it created an earthquake like about a 3.5 to 4. It terrified everybody in the area. The back of this craft opened up, and several hundred young men with huge, heavy weapons came out of two sides of the ship and formed a protection line around the ship. And the people at that Air Force base, the commander, had a meeting with the individuals that were aboard this ship. And this particular race that landed those ships and that are seen in these huge cigar-shaped ships, they are a black race. They look like African Americans. They were about 6'4", 6'5". These tight-fitting black leather outfits on, and the weapons that they came out of the ships with, they were huge weapons. And if you've ever seen a race of people that were conquerors, that had never been conquered, they've got this look about them of arrogance. That is exactly what these extraterrestrials had.
Yeah, he said it looked like conquerors, man. You see? He said it looked like conquerors, right? And this video's old, man. It's been multiple accounts, people getting experience, that the men, all right, the angels, okay, that's because that's what he's describing, all right, those that are driving the chariots, right, the angels, they look like so-called.
And they informed these people at this American Air Force base that not only were they from a militaristic society, but they had controlled a large portion of the galaxy that we live in. And this was the statement that Ronald Reagan was making to the United Nations when he said that if all the countries on the planet realized that there was a threat from outer space and from an alien civilization, we would all come together. But he was not allowed to make this statement. What I tell you is true, and the gentleman that you had on before, tell him to look up.
Often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet I ask you, is not an alien...
See, now we have NASA talking about the so-called aliens.
All right, and that's pretty much it for this. But as you can see, man, all right, and that's the video, all right, brothers always reference with Ronald Reagan, all right, and you say, oh, well, if there was such a threat as such, I believe it's Revelation 12, such a threat as such from outer space, where we will all fight that threat together, right? And they will, you see. Revelation 12, and I thought it was around 7. Yeah, Revelation 12:7, it says, and there was a war in heaven. All right, it's talking about the Shemaims, right? It says, Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, right? In which the dragon, all right, represents America, okay? Esau, Edom, okay, his military. So that's what the, what you call them? The fighter jets, right? These different, and when we go into the actual layouts, all right, of the chariot, we see that they can go, hey man, they gonna run circles around Esau, Edom, and his technology, man. They're gonna run circles around him because there's certain things that they can't do, right? Which is, like I said, there's more accounts, all right, with these people encountering the chariots, okay, in person, and they know that it's nothing that they can do. You see? But this is what I wanted to start off with. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 11, verse 12. It says, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and the enemies beheld them, right? And what's the cloud? Is a chariot, right? When you look at an actual chariot, look at the illuminations, right? The artwork of them, right? Sometimes they actually take on the form of an actual cloud, right? I believe it's Psalms 104, right? Just to back up the point, Psalms 104, verse 3, it says, who led the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind. And that's exactly what the chariots do, man. They fly, all right? They go, hey, man, chariots can drop down to the lowest depths in the water, man, doing 10 million miles an hour, okay? Just stop at a dime, and they come in all shapes, forms, and sizes, man. You see? I just brought that out to back it up in Revelation 11, right? Because when we ascend, all right, as it says in Acts, I believe it's the 2nd chapter or the 1st chapter, the same way that Yahushua left is the same way he coming back. You see? While ye standing up, ye been gazing, all right? Let me get that real quick. I think it's Acts 1. Yep, it's Acts 1 and 9. It says, and when he had spoken these things while they beheld, yeah, that's it. While they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. You see a cloud again, all right, which is synonymous, all right, these represent chariots in the scriptures, man. You see? So it says, and while they looked steadfastly toward heaven, you see, to Shemaims, right? It says, as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel. Which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? So why you standing there just gazing at the Lord, leaving on a chariot, right? Why you standing up there just gazing, right? And he said, this same Yahushua, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. You see? So reading the NLT, men of Galilee, they said, why are you standing here staring into heaven? Jesus, Yahushua, right, has been taken from you into heaven, but someday he will return from heaven, all right, in the same way you saw him go. So he left on the chariot, and he's coming back on the chariot, right? And we're going to back that up with 2nd Esdras, okay, chapter 13, man. which Esdras, he saw the vision of the Lord returning, you know. Big Jake. 2nd Esdras chapter 13. Oh man, I'm gonna just start at 6, right? Just get the point. It's right. It says, but I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it, right? Which this represents the massive, all right, was the chariot was so big, and which Ezra saw, he said, man, it looked like a mountain, right? Because I'm gonna read verse 7. It says, but I was seen a region or place where without the hill was graven, and I could not. So he couldn't see the end of the chariot that the Lord was standing on, man. That's why I said, Big Jake, you know, because when you envision these things, you can see the Lord coming back, all right, and he's standing on the top of the chariot, like, yeah, I'm here, you know. Well, Jake think they get that, you know, when I say Jake, all right, of course we're talking about the 12 tribes, all right, who come from our forefather Jacob, all right, whose name was changed to Israel, all right. That's why, you know, we say Jake, all right. And hey, man, Jake coming back, standing on top of the chariot, man. You see, we're not talking about a horse and a buggy, all right? We're not talking about, you know, little white babies floating around, right, with roses and harps playing. No, man, the Lord is coming back, all right, with vengeance. He's coming back to seek blood, you see? It says, then this is what Reagan was talking about here, all right? This also backs up that Revelation 12:7. Verse 8, it says, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were so afraid, yes, does fight, right? And these nations, right, because he's going to return in the middle, all right, of World War III, all right? You're going to see all the armies gathered together, all right, in the land of over there around Saudi Arabia, okay? And the Lord is going to make his marvelous return. You see? And they're going to be so afraid, okay, and they're going to fight, all right? Michael and his angels, right? Michael Allah, all right, one who is like the Most High, okay, and the chariots, all right, our brothers, you see? They're going to fight. Hey, man, this devil's going to get cast down, right? Let's go back to that in Revelation 12, okay, because it said, I'll just quote it, right, because neither was a place found for him anymore, you know? Hey man, this devil's going down, right? And as he goes down totally, all right, that's when we're going to be saved totally, you see? So I'm going to get this in Isaiah 26, in verse 20. It says, come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment, until the indignation be overpassed. Excuse me, goddamn hiccups. But you know, and enter into the chambers is what? It represents the chariots again, you see? And the NLT, it says, go home, my people. All right, what's the chariots? That is our way home, man. You know? And it says, shut thy doors about thee, all right? Hide thyself as it were for a little moment, till the indignation be overpassed, till the destruction be past, right? Till the Lord's righteous anger, okay, his fury, till it pass. You see, because there's a set remnant, all right, a remainder of Israelites that are destined, all right, for salvation. You see? And we just pray that the Lord remember us in his wrath, man. All right, in wrath, remember mercy, you know? But I'm going to end it off in Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter. You know, there's a mountain of precepts that goes into this, but, you know, Lord willing, this quick, edifying, and straight to the point, all right? It's Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5. I'm going to start at the top. It says, then shall a righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, and have made no account of his labors. And when they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation. So far beyond all that they look for, right? Because they wasn't looking for the Lord to crack the clouds in a massive fathership chariot, man, right? They wasn't looking for so-called Negroes, right, Latinos and Native Americans, okay, to be saying, call Elohim La Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, all right, and actually see them being beamed up into those chariots, man. You know, they wasn't looking for that, you see. And the mass majority of the people, okay, are dwelling on the planet Earth are simple, man. All right, they can't even imagine the type of things that the Lord has envisioned for us to be saved, all of the different ways, man. You know, we're talking about the author of beauty. So it says, and it says they shall be troubled with terrible fear as well. So we can't forget about that aspect either, you know, because there's, like it says in Zechariah 5, right? This is the curse that goeth forth over the whole earth, man. You know. So this is what's gonna people gonna see these things. You know, they're gonna have when you go back to 2 Esdras 13 and speak about the I'm gonna just have to get it. You know, I'm gonna have to get it because the Lord speaks about that. The sparks and tempests, you know. Let me just pull over right quick. Yeah, let me go back. Because, hey, man, like I said, dust and smell of smoke. All right. Now, it says, I'll jump down to 10, all right? It says, but only I saw that he had sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and a great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned up every one, so that a sudden and innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and a smell of smoke. And when I saw this, I was so afraid. So Esdras seen people actually getting zapped, man. All right, evaporated. You see, one moment it's a human, the next moment it's just a pillar of smoke, man. You see. And that's why I brought this out, to show that, you know, when they see these things happening, okay, it's going to be terrible fear falling on these people. People going to have heart attacks, right? People just going to give up the ghost at the sight of seeing Yahushua, man. You see? Verse 3, it says, and they repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision and a proverb of reproach. We fools accounted his life madness and his end to be without honor. How is he numbered among the children of the Most High, and his lot among the saints? You see, and that's what they're going to be saying. How is he a part of the elect? You see? How did he make it? They didn't know who was in the like Jake said, in the cut, man. Being diligent, doing the work, fearing the Lord, man. You know? But, you know, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. It's pretty much the point. All right. So with that, I'm going to give our praises, glory, infinite honors unto Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Kakodash. The honors once again to the apostle.